in Georgia, we haven't gone all the way to legalizing marijuana yet. Whether or not that'll happen, who knows? But a lot of CBD products are legal, hemp products are legal, and if you've got any of those in your vehicle, you're going to potentially have a problem with your vehicle smelling like an illegal substance. So most likely on a breathalyzer, you're not going to have marijuana show up, although obviously alcohol will.
Yes.
Have you ever seen a situation where somebody got arrested for having a hemp product or a CBD product that was legal and the police tried to get them for illegal possession of marijuana?
Absolutely, and because these products smell identical in Georgia under the law as it stands right now, although defense attorneys statewide are trying to challenge this precedent, the odor of marijuana, which is the exact same odor as all of these legal products, is probable cause for the police to search your car, your home, your person. It is probable cause to search wherever they detect that odor.
It might also be, I imagine the drug dogs probably alert to it too.
Exactly, and they cannot distinguish between a legal hemp or marijuana product and any illegal substance.
That's interesting. Kate, I wanted to pick your brain for a minute about what the difference is between being detained and being arrested. You know, I've watched some videos about people after they've been pulled over, they get detained, maybe even put in handcuffs. What's the difference?
So there are 3 levels of police encounters. Tier 1 is what we call it, is a consensual encounter. This is an encounter with the police where they don't have reasonable suspicion that you're doing anything wrong or probable cause. They're not investigating anything. They're just walking up to you and talking to you, and they are allowed to do that. In a Tier 1 consensual encounter, though, you are also allowed to walk away.
Okay, so Tier 1 encounters are situations where you just run into the cops. They're out walking the beat, or you happen to come across them and they have questions for you. So you don't have to talk to them at all.
You don't have to talk to them at all. You can just walk away.
Okay. So what makes it a Tier 2 encounter?
A Tier 2 encounter, it escalates from Tier 1 to Tier 2 when the police are actively conducting some sort of official duty. They're investigating a crime and they believe you might be involved or have information. They might not necessarily be investigating you, but if they think that you may have witnessed something and they are conducting their investigation, they could ask you to stop and speak to you. Or if they suspect that you were involved and are investigating you, they would then approach you, and that's where it goes from something that you're free to walk away from to being detained, where you're not under arrest yet, but you're also not free to leave. Your ability to leave is what sort of dictates which standard you are in.
Do they have to read you your Miranda rights, the rights where they say you have the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you, all that, and we see it on TV. Do they have to read you those rights during a Tier 2 encounter?
So that's actually a really good question, and one that's a lot more complicated than people realize. They do not have to automatically read you those rights. They only have to read you those rights if they are going to interrogate you, meaning ask you potentially incriminating questions while you are in custody.
Okay.
And whether or not you are in custody can be a very circumstantial determination. Like I said, it might be that they're investigating something and they're suspicious that you are the person who committed a crime, or they could know that you committed that crime and they are trying to circumvent having to read you your rights or potentially have you not answer questions.
Okay, I'm sure it feels like you're being detained, like you're being interrogated if you're being asked a lot of questions by the police officers and you're in handcuffs.
And you don't have to be in handcuffs to be detained. You can be, but you don't have to be.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
At what point do you get into Tier 3? What is Tier 3?
So Tier 3 is when you are actually under arrest, meaning they are arresting you and accusing you of having committed a crime. That means you are not free to leave. You are in handcuffs. You are being taken to a jail to be booked and charged with whatever crime that they have suspected you of.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's no talking yourself out of that one.
Yeah, fair.
Making statements can only possibly hurt your case.
How many phone calls do you get? You always see on TV, like, I get a free phone call. Like, what phone calls do you get when you're in jail?
So the way it works in every place that I've seen, every place that I'm aware of, is they would take you to the jail, book you in, meaning fingerprint you, and then you're entitled to an appearance in front of the judge within 24 hours. At some point in that process is typically when they'll allow you to make a phone call. Those phone calls are always recorded. So it's important that when you make that phone call, You're not making any statements about what happened or what you've been accused of. You're just calling someone to let them know, hey, this is where I am. Can you come help me out?
That's a great point. So remember, those phone calls are recorded. But what if you're talking to a lawyer?
So even if you're talking to a lawyer, those phone calls are recorded, and there has been some new decisions coming down from the higher courts in Georgia that are not super favorable to defense attorneys in this perspective. So any attorney that knows what they're doing is not going to have a conversation with you about anything that happened on that recorded line.
Interesting. Okay, so you're going to wait till you meet them in person.
Exactly.
Okay. Is the first phone call typically to a lawyer? Is it typically to a bail bondsman? Is it a family member? Who do you call if you get thrown in jail? Who should I call?
I mean, I would recommend calling the person who's going to help you get out of jail. Lawyers can certainly come and can help you at a first appearance to help make sure that you understand what's going on and what your charges are, as well as help negotiate a bond with a judge. Sometimes bonds are set automatically and you don't have to appear in front of a judge. Other times there are certain types of more serious charges that you have to appear in front of a superior court judge for, and that typically means you'll be in custody for a longer amount of time. In those situations, I would still recommend call a family member first, because you're not going to have a lot of access to be able to call an attorney out in that circumstance, but your family member can.
Okay, so can a family member hire a lawyer for you?
Yes.
Okay.
But now that lawyer still represents the person charged with the crime, not that family member, but the family member can absolutely help facilitate the hiring and that communication.
All right, so we always hear on crime shows about the fact that if you can't afford a lawyer, one would be provided for you. Mm-hmm. Why would somebody hire a private criminal defense lawyer like yourself, mm-hmm. as opposed to just getting a public defender?
Sure. So the way that process works is public defenders are appointed to people who cannot afford them, and that is based on criteria that's set by statute. So they will ask you questions about your work, your income, your financial assets. So someone might have too much income or too many assets to be able to qualify for court-appointed counsel. So in that situation, you would either have to represent yourself, which is never recommended, or hire a private attorney.
Let me interrupt.
Sure.
So it's means tested. Mm-hmm. It's a situation where they actually look at how much money you have and you make, mm-hmm. and they say, if we think you can afford a lawyer, we're going to make you pay for it yourself.
Correct.
Rather than providing you with one.
Correct.
So in that circumstance, a family member would have to go and talk to you about a retainer.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk for just a minute about your background and about how you learned to do what you do.
Yes.
Like, where do you come from?
So I am a military brat. I come from a big Marine Corps family. Grew up all down the East Coast, pretty much.
Semper Fi, right?
Exactly.
Okay. And where did you get your training?
So I went to UGA undergrad, Georgia State Law School, and I worked in as many internships and externships while I was in law school, specifically in criminal defense, for all 3 years. And that's where I got the bulk of my education. And then after that, I've worked in the Henry County Public Defender's Office and the Clayton County Public Defender's Office. I've attended the Bill Daniel Trial Advocacy College, which is a very well-known and respected criminal defense trial college. Yeah, I've worked under the teachings of many, many prominent defense attorneys in the state.
Okay, so good schools and good classes and good mentors. It's a
very much so
combination for success.
Yes.
So what did you learn from spending time as a public defender? What kind of training do you get there that you can't get somewhere else?
So as a public defender, we handle the bulk of criminal cases in any one jurisdiction. They have the highest caseloads. I really learned, A, how to very efficiently manage and investigate cases, and B, I got to see everything. I've handled every single charge that you can imagine, from very simple drug possession through charges that carry life sentences, rapes, murders, any sort of sexual assault allegations, thefts, shopliftings, you name it. It has come through those doors and been across my desk.
Okay, so you've done all that.
Yes.
How long were you a public defender?
About 3 years.
Okay, wow. If you're in need of a good criminal defense, Kate Hayden, that's the way to go. Call 404 Law Team, Morrison Hughes, with offices all around Atlanta. We're here to serve you. Kate, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure.